Trainee.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and everything between the slip gates to the State of Quake Episode 2. As always, I'm Slip, joined by
Unkind.
And how's everything going this week?
Pretty good. It's been an interesting week.
Yeah, I can say the same. I feel like this operation's running smooth as silk.
There you go with the Ranger quotes.
Well, Ranger is number one, so you got to throw him some quotes in there. Well, first of all, we want to thank everyone who listened to episode 1. We reached over 100 listens in 2 days, and we were very shocked with the overwhelming interest and positive response. As of this recording, we're over 500 listens across all of our platforms that we've uploaded to.
Woo!
Both of us are very humble, and again, we thank you so much, and we're hoping that it continues just to grow from here, and we're going to try to get even better and better each episode. And also another thing I like to say, no matter what Quake you started at, whether you're Quake 1, Quake 2, 3, 4, even Enemy Territories, or Quake Champions, you're brand new. We're all part of the Quake family, and we're all here to support each other.
The positive response that we've gotten from this podcast has been amazing, and it goes to show how strong the community is. We started off with just posting to SoundCloud. And over the course of the week, we are now available on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, and we even cut a YouTube video. And what we've been doing is organically posting, to all of the various outlets that we do have on Discord. There's a closed Facebook group that we posted to. Posted it to Reddit, and I don't know if I'm forgetting any of the other platforms that we posted to, but the Bethesda forums is another place that we got quite a bit of traffic coming from. But in addition to all of those properties that we've posted the podcast to, we're also hoping to get onto Twitch, because that's where the players are. We're thinking of initially a concept called Between the Slipgates, where we still have conversations with each other, but we're trying to incorporate other people into the podcast. So we'll be playing, some scrims against people, some low stakes games, but also having interesting conversation.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Twitch. And we actually today we just bought the domain for stateofquake.com. We're still not 100% sure yet what we're going to do with it yet, but we wanted to go ahead and lock it down before some schmuck come along and tried to take it from us, and then we couldn't have it. So I'm glad we went ahead and did that today.
Yep, we got that. So I just wanted to address a few things from the last episode. When you're in the heat of recording and having a conversation, it's hard to check your facts and be 100% on point with things. One thing that I think I mentioned was that I said that there were 13 champs. There's actually 14 and 15 if you include Athena. So just wanted to get that out there.
And I also made a mistake myself. Duke Nukem was never owned by id Software. Sorry about that. I'm sure a lot of you guys are going to probably give me heat for that. But yeah, I remember at the time when I was a little kid, Doom and Duke Nukem kind of looked very similar. So I never fact checked it. So I had to take that back. Sorry about that, guys.
We'll give you a pass on that one. So, have you been playing much over this past week? I mean, I know I've been pretty busy with trying to get this posted, all the properties and all of the things that go along with a podcast.
Yeah, I've been playing on and off a little bit, and the weirdest thing keeps happening to me. I don't know if anybody else out there has had this happen, but I want to call it, I guess, like a rocket cancel. It's where, if I'm in a rocket fight with another guy, and we kind of shoot our rockets about the same time, his might come out a little bit quicker than mine, and it seems like it kills me, and when it kills me, it cancels my rocket. My rocket just disappears. I don't know if that's the net code or what's going on with that, but it seems like it happens to me quite a bit.
Yeah, I think that's related to the client side hit detection and how the game responds to that. But we can we could talk about the net code and optimizing the game and how that affects things in depth. So we'll
Yeah, I figured
probably
we'll
talk
get
about that later.
yeah, we'll hit that another podcast, and let's get back to the heart of this episode. To start out with this topic, first, I just want to say how different Quake is from other FPS games. Uh, we've seen a lot of new people come in, they get frustrated, and then they leave because they just don't realize the the difference between the game. You can take someone that's really good at a particular game, Counter Strike, Halo, Overwatch,
Fortnite.
yeah, Fortnite, PUBG. The list goes on and on and on. And as soon as they come into Quake, and it's just a totally different story.
Yeah, you can get overwhelmed with how deep this game is. On the surface, it's pretty basic, and I think they've done a good job of introducing players to the game, but I think there's quite a bit missing in helping a brand new player who's just jumping into Quake understand the entire Quake universe and how deep it can actually get.
Yeah, and I think earlier I know we talked about it. I think you wanted to bring up the topic of the difference between when Dr. Disrespect came to Quake and Dr. Lupo, their first time playing, and how they contrasted with each other.
Yeah, so two big name streamers who are most notably known for playing Fortnite. Dr. Disrespect, he plays Fortnite, PUBG, all of the flavors of the battle royale popular mode right now. And then Dr. Lupo, who is probably most notable for playing duos with Ninja. They both, I don't know if it was a paid promotion from Bethesda or what, but they happened to download Quake Champions and stream for a few hours. And I noticed there was a huge contrast between how Dr. Disrespect jumped into the game and how he was getting frustrated, what he was focused on, versus Dr. Lupo and his experience. So I don't know if did you watch either one of those?
I definitely did watch Dr. Disrespect a little bit, and yeah, he had a lot of trouble with strafe jumping. I just don't know if he just couldn't get the concept down or if he just didn't put the time in. I'm not really sure. I did notice his aim was getting a little bit better. Like I saw him hitting some decent rail shots, and his rockets weren't too bad, and the LG wasn't too bad. I felt like if he would have gave the game a bigger chance, maybe try it for another week or two, or even had some pros come in and just like talk to him and show him versus him just watching a video, he probably could have been a good player.
Yeah, he pulled it up. I believe it was Frothy Omens tutorial on strafe jumping, and he would try it out, and he got it down somewhat, but that's only part of one of the mechanics of Quake. It's like I said, it's a very deep game, and you can get lost in just like one aspect of it.
That's true. And then Dr. Lupo, I watched a little bit of him, not a lot, and but he seemed to have more fun with it. Um,
hmm
and I think you said that he did have a little bit of Quake background as well.
Yeah, it sounded like he played some version of Quake back in the day. I don't know if it was Quake 3 or Quake 2 or Quake Live, but he mentioned that he loved the fast paced nature of it, and his skills from Fortnite, specifically being able to snipe people with whatever sniper gun is used in that game, translated well to the railgun. So he gravitated naturally towards playing Instagive, and he actually won a few of the matches. So I was happy to see that a brand new player, like with 1, 2, 3 hours of experience, was rising to the top at the end of a match.
Yeah, that is good to see, and I do hope that both these guys eventually come back to Quake, maybe stream a little bit more, try to bring in some more new players because I mean the game is good. I mean it is still an early access game, but still it's good and it's very rewarding once you learn how to play and you start to get really good.
Yep. I can't stress that enough. Like, you have to put in the time to play this game and be patient with it because it will reward you in the end. I have a feeling that, the main reason why both of those guys didn't continue to play is because they're gravitating towards where the money's coming in. And obviously, the games that they stream 95% of the time, that's where the views come from, and therefore that's where the money is coming.
That is true, and if you look at the generation gap, you figure a lot of your Quake players are probably your older generation. They grew up. We didn't have Twitch, whereas these younger crowds that play like Fortnite and so on, they grew up in the Twitch era. So they naturally just watch people play, and I guess maybe Fortnite just seems more appealing to them because maybe it's just easier to get into, and obviously the more people you have to watch, the more money you make as a streamer.
That's exactly how it goes. Yeah, we'll probably have a full episode dedicated to, the impact of social media and the effect on the entire gaming industry, because that's a whole topic in and of itself.
Yeah, that's definitely something you could talk for about a couple of hours about. So anyway, let's get back to the main point of this episode. It's mostly to help new players integrate into Quake Champions, or you can kind of take this and to maybe add it to any Quake game, but it's going to mostly be about Quake Champions. First of all, the game is free to play, so you get Ranger and Scale Bearer.
So it wasn't always free to play. It was closed before. And when the announcement was made, when was it? It was at QuakeCon, right?
Yeah, QuakeCon is when they released it completely for free forever. Now it's forever free to play, as far as I know, where they said it.
Yeah, so you get those two champions, and you're free to purchase them via favor. There's a few ways that you can actually get other individual champions. You can get 250,000 favor in the game, collect that by completing daily rewards and just grinding the game out, and purchasing them that way. Or they have platinum that you can buy, and I believe the conversion for how much platinum that it costs versus the actual US dollars, I think it's roughly $5 to purchase each individual champ. But from the very get-go, I purchased the Champions pack, and it is 100% worth the price. I think I purchased it when it was either $30 or $40, and it's fluctuated up and down in price. And they have mentioned that it won't be any cheaper than it was a couple of months ago. I don't know if you know any different information on that.
Well, I bought mine back in December because I did have a winter sale maybe, okay. And I paid like $20 for it. And as far as $20 goes, I mean, this game has given me hours and hours, weeks of gameplay, so you can't beat that for $20. And I don't know if they've changed it in a patch, but if you complete the tutorials, I think you get 250,000 favor. So it's possible you go ahead and purchase the champ as soon as you start. Mm-hmm. And then they also rotate out a champ every week. So each week you can try a different champ that they rotate out. If you want to give them a try, if you like them, you can buy them. If you don't, you don't have to play as them.
Yeah, and they also added an arcade mode where I forgot what it was called. What's the name of the arcade mode where every single time you die, you're automatically switched to a new champion?
That's Mysterious Champ.
Okay, but that's also a fun mode to play and a way to experiment with playing other champions.
Yeah, and to be fair with me, maining Ranger, I mean, you already have Ranger off the get-go, so you really don't need any other champ in the game because he is the best.
I won't disagree. Like, it's a great champion to start off with. He's a great all-around champion, and you can definitely get your feet wet with Ranger.
Yeah, because his movement's based off of basic Quake physics. So once you master moving around with Ranger, I mean, everybody else is just going to pretty much fall into place. You might have a little bit of trouble with the air control champs, Sorlag, and Anarchy, but trust me, once you learn the strafe jump and to get us down pat, the air control stuff comes in naturally. You'll get it, no problem.
Yeah, as you mentioned, the Champions pack is the best way to go. So I guess coming in as a new player, uh, some people have higher expectations than others. I think it's really important to stress that this game has not been fully released yet. It is still in early access. And by means that's no excuse. They've been developing this over a year now. And they're still working out some of the kinks, but it has come a long way. I
Yeah,
can
yes, it has come a very long way since the beta. And you got to realize, folks, we're in the era of early access games. There's no other way around it. Not every game's going to come out. It's going to be a AAA title. And if you even notice, a lot of your AAA titles still have issues. So, for $30 early access, it's a great deal, and you're not going to be disappointed. But you just have to give this game a shot for that price.
the way I think about it is that you're contributing to the development of this game and this franchise. You can submit your feedback, and although it might take some time to get incorporated, we're testing this game month to month. They're improving it month to month, and it's going to be the game that we all want as a collective whole in the end.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. Because I have noticed that if enough people complain about a particular problem or have a particular suggestion, 9 times out of 10, that usually gets addressed in a patch, very soon. The only thing I don't want to be addressed, I know a lot of people are complaining about, is getting rid of Ranger's Telefrag. We don't need to get rid of that. It stays in the game. It doesn't need to go anywhere. I know people complain about it a lot, but just leave it. Just leave it.
You already know how I feel about Rangers orbs, so we won't even go there.
If you don't know about this game, it is online only. There's no single player story mode to it. I mean, they do have these lore scrolls that you collect as you play that kind of give you a little bit of back history of each champion. They're kind of fun to read. It is on a matchmaking system. Pretty much, I think the days of dedicated servers are gone. I know all the old school guys, we love dedicated servers, but like I said, for way Quake is set up now, matchmaking system probably the best bet for it.
Yeah, I agree, and it's really important. They ask you when you first start up Quake Champion, like they give you 4 options, basically placing yourself initially with, what your skill level is. Like if you're advanced, intermediate, if you're a beginner. So I think it's important, even though you might have come from playing, Quake 3, and you might be at the top of, the free for all deathmatch charts at the end of a match. It's important to level set and put yourself at a realistic starting point, because if you lie, you're going to get punished for it.
And also, you get punished for it. When you do the tutorials at the beginning, especially if you are brand new to Quake, don't skip them.
There's an entire team dedicated to the in-game onboarding experience, so giving you tips on how to use the user interface, along with actual interactive tutorials as you're playing the game. And I know most people, they don't like to go through that sort of stuff, but they're putting it there for a reason, so you don't forget the small details inside of the game.
Yeah.
So I cannot stress enough, do not skip that stuff. Plus, if you do all of these tutorials, you get rewarded for it. You get some backpacks and some favor for it.
Yeah, so it's definitely worth doing. And then that kind of leads us into settings. Quake, you kind of gotta kind of fiddle around with your settings a little bit. Me personally, I would probably recommend low graphics settings, no matter what PC you have, just because the game runs a lot smoother. Your FPSs are a lot higher.
The game is beautiful even at low graphics settings. So even if you have like the top tier computer or the top tier graphics card, you still want to get as many frames per second as possible. So yeah, we do recommend keeping your graphics settings at the lowest.
Yeah, and also mouse sensitivity. That's everything. Now, we'll warn people that this is a black hole that you will never get yourself out of because you're constantly almost changing your mouse settings. So you can either maybe copy what a pro does. You can look at what their sensitivity is and see how you like that and kind of tweak it from there. Or maybe you can have somebody watch you play and say they maybe want to tell you, well, maybe you should change it to this or that. But overall, it's really what you feel comfortable with. I recommend a lower or a high sensitivity, but no mouse accel to keep your mouse pretty steady, especially with the LG and Rocket and Rail. Helps with your aim. But like I said, overall, it's basically what you're comfortable with.
Yep. And depending on what sensitivity you're at, what field of view you're at, some of the Windows settings for your actual sensitivity, all of that stuff goes into play when you're adjusting your settings. But you're going to be tweaking what those values are left and right, especially as you get situated into the game. I know that, for me personally, I tend to favor the movement, so my sensitivity is a little bit higher. People who want to focus on tracking with their lightning gun and their rail gun tend to have a lower sensitivity, and they tend to sacrifice some of the being able to flick the mouse around really quickly to react to certain scenarios, so they have a lower sensitivity. But for me, I'm somewhere in between the middle for both of them.
Yeah, I've got mine around 2.25, I think, but I am using the new Pro Wireless from Logitech, so it's very light. So even at 2.25, I can still I got a mix of both movement and flicks. So like I said, depending on the mouse, so the weight you have it, and all that things like that, what kind of mouse pad you're running, take the time to try to dial in your sensitivity, because if you don't, I mean, you'll notice a difference once you start messing around with it.
Yeah, you're gonna have a tough time if you can't aim properly, and if you can't aim properly, you're not gonna be able to frag anyone, and you'll most likely give up. So we don't want that to happen.
You're gonna have a bad time. That kind of puts us into like key bindings. Basically, you can stick with the default settings. I don't really recommend it myself. I think me and Unkind, we both kind of use a lot of our mouse. We pretty much use every mouse button imaginable if we can. Mm-hmm. Also, you might want to pretty much try to get all your binds as close to your fingers as possible, so you don't have to move your fingers off of your movement keys that far. I think is the best way to go, in my opinion.
Yeah, as far as like keybinds go, I know most people you start off with the default WASD for your your movement, and then you're gonna want to put the guns that are most important like right next to those keys. So like utilizing the E key and the R key and the Q key, any of those keys that are surrounding to switch to the rail gun or the rocket launcher or the lightning gun. Those are the holy trinity guns of the game. But also important, you want to be able to whip out that gauntlet as quickly as possible. So don't don't sleep on that one either.
Yeah, trust me. When I first started out, the gauntlet was definitely not a priority for me. I think I still had it binded to 1 or whatever the default is, and I ended up binding it to my mouse wheel. And it definitely helped me out a lot in a couple situations. So like I said, you definitely want to go through the defaults and maybe try to change around a little bit. Like I think default rockets is Q, lightning gun is E. I'd leave those. Don't touch them. In my opinion, don't touch those. And then definitely use your mouse buttons for two. I'd probably use one of your mouse buttons for rail if it was me personally, which is what I do. For the rail, the rocket to rail combo, it's a lot easier to switch back and forth like that.
Did you know for the longest time I didn't use any of the actual keyboard keys to switch weapons, and this probably went all the way up until late last year. Like I used the mouse scroll wheel to don't laugh at me, like I'm laughing at myself, because I noticed a huge improvement when I moved from scrolling to whatever weapon I wanted on the mouse wheel. to actually using the scroll wheel. So like whenever I scroll up right now, that's my rocket. Whenever I scroll down, that's my machine gun. And then I use the two side buttons for lightning gun and railgun. And ever since I switched to that sort of a setup, my game has improved like tenfold.
Yeah, and I think it just comes back to, what's preferable to you, what feels comfortable to you, because, you know, to me, I don't think I'd want my rockets on my wheel mouse. But then again, since Quake 3, I've always had it at Q, so it's like a bad habit. But
So just curious, what do you have binded for your delete key? Your delete meaning your orbs.
to the leak. I use my spacebar to win. I press that to win. I know default it's the F key, and some people may have no issue to using F. But like I said before, I like to try to keep my fingers as much as possible on the movement keys to keep moving. So I naturally, since my thumb rests on spacebar, it seemed like the natural choice for the abilities key.
So does that mean that you use something else to jump? Because I know the default to jump in the game is spacebar, and that's what I use.
I use right click.
Wow. Okay. So you're in the right click groove to jump. I know that there's two camps in this game. Some people use the mouse to jump, and others who actually use the spacebar on the keyboard or another key. But I've never experimented with that myself, and it would take me a long time to erase all of that muscle memory.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
That's what goes down to muscle memory. If I had to recommend something for a new player, I would tell them to try the mouse the mouse jumping first, because I feel like with me being able to hold down the mouse button and move my mouse side to side for strafe jumping, it just seems like it comes more easy. And I think maybe some people, they might get a little frustrated with the spacebar jump key, so I would probably make that recommendation for them.
You know what's funny is how much you jump inside of Quake and Quake games. I bought this keyboard at like the end of last year, so I haven't had it for a tremendous amount of time, and I've already worn down the paint on my spacebar.
What kind of keyboard do you have?
It's actually a pretty good keyboard. I have the Logitech G810.
So I have the 910, and so far my paint has not come off yet.
Huh. Well, I guess you're not using your ability key as often as you should be.
I know we can't say that because we know we out-orb a lot, and I got a lot of orb kills, probably well over 500 at this point. I don't know if I've lost count.
So that's one of many settings that you can tweak inside the game. Like there's, and I believe in the next patch there's going to be even more settings to tweak. Things like your crosshair. I know me personally, I switch off depending on what type of mode I'm playing. Don't stick with the default crosshair. Change up the color of the crosshair. Those things go a long way.
Yeah, I about forgot about the crosshair. I think I started out with the basic dot like I did in Quake 3 because that's just what I was used to. Mm-hmm. And I ended up going to like a dot with a circle around it. It really helped out, and I changed my crosshair color to like a teal color, and it definitely helps out. I know in the new patch, the new thing they added was you can change your enemy outline because you can kind of see them a little better.
Yep.
So definitely when the new patch comes out, tweak that to whatever suits you the best.
Yeah, that also caters to the colorblind crowd as well. So if you have trouble seeing red as an enemy, and you want to see something that has more contrast, switch to like yellow or bright green or whatever color works for you. But yeah, I immediately switched from red to something that was closer to like the Keel bright green standard back in the Quake 3 days.
Oh yeah, and I think that brings us to the next point in learning Quake. Don't forget to utilize our resources or the Quake resources. I mean, you got forums for one that a lot of new players can come in and just say, "Hey, I'm new." You can probably put your gamer tag in, and maybe you get some people to add you and kind of maybe help you out that way.
let's make sure to be specific about where those forums are. So
Yeah, it's going to be you can go to the Bethesda website, Bethesda, I think it's .net, right? Bethesda.net.
mhm. Yep.
It should be under like the community tab. There's like a community tab, I think, on the left. Not exactly sure, but then you'll go down to Quake, and then you'll see they got the general Quake series and then Quake Champions. So if you're playing Quake Champions, you click on that, and then you could probably post it under general discussions.
Yeah, so whether it's like tips or tricks, or you just want to have a discussion around a certain topic, if you're finding bugs, there's also a place to report there to give feedback. And yeah, it's a great place. That's probably the very first place that I initially went to learn about the game. I know initially when I first started playing, I actually started playing on my Mac. I played on an iMac. Believe it or not.
I feel sorry for you, sir.
I felt sorry for me as well, but at the time I didn't have a PC built, and Quake Champions actually made me build my first PC in over like 10, 12 years. I didn't have a place to ask whether or not, this would actually run properly on that Mac. And initially I was getting, this error where the game wouldn't launch, and eventually I was able to get it to run, but at a pretty low FPS. And eventually, I built a PC, and things have been great from there. There's also there's people who they dedicate their time to trying to get the game to run as optimally as possible. This is a game, I don't know if it's just because they have some debug code that's still inside of the game or what, but it doesn't run properly over the course of time. And there's some people in there that have done a few tests. They go into their graphics card settings and start tweaking things in there. So there's guides and tutorials on how to get your game to run as optimally as possible. So don't miss that stuff as well.
Yeah, and I know we didn't discuss this when we were writing out this podcast, but just for people who haven't got Quake yet, you kind of want to know what the system requirements are. The minimum requirements, you need to have Windows 7 and later. As far as processor, AMD Phantom 2 X4-945 or the Intel Core 2 Quad 6600. You need at least 8 gigs of memory. As far as graphics, AMD R7 or NVIDIA GT 730, or if you have a built-in Intel HD 530. But they really recommend you have probably, as far as processor, AMD FX 8320 or Intel i5 2400. With 16 gigs of RAM, AMD R9 graphics or NVIDIA GTX 770. So if you guys wanted to know what that were, I went ahead and pulled them up real quick for you guys because I felt like that might have been really helpful for some people who've never played this game at all, and if they needed to beef up their PC or not.
Yeah, and what I would say from my experience, and just observing people who have been having issues, I would say that your CPU and your CPU chip are most important, especially for Quake Champions when it comes to getting the game to not drop frames. I don't know if you've had that experience yourself, but I've seen people complaining that they've got a 1080 Ti graphics card, which is like the highest that you can get, and they're getting horrible frames per second. I have no idea what they're doing to their computer to make it do that, but I'm the hardware that I'm running on my computer is nowhere near that, and I have no complaints. So
yeah, I mean, I'm running a 1080 myself. I'm not running a Ti. I'm running a fairly decent processor, and overall, I don't really have that big of an issue with frame drops. Now I know sometimes from patch to patch, as soon as they patch it, it might drop a little bit, but it eventually smooths out. So I'm not sure if it's something in the code somewhere on the new patch and it's just causing them to fluctuate a little bit. But overall, I don't have anywhere near the issues that you do see some people talk about on the forums. So but I think the game, as it continues, all that stuff will be fixed. All that'll be smoothed out, no problem.
yeah, you can't rely on a game, or they can't expect to release this game in that state and expect your normal consumer to go through all of these tweaks to get it to run properly. It should just run properly out of the box. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's true. It brings us next to our next resource. You got YouTube channels that a lot of people make videos, like Frothy Omen, for example. Also, was it Rocket Ninja or Rocket Jump Ninja? I think it's Rocket Jump Ninja. Especially if you want to learn about mice. This guy tests hundreds of mice, and that's actually one of the reasons why I got not the wireless one that I have now, but I started out with the G403 with Hyperglides. He had it as number one mouse for a long time, and I loved it because you can tell a huge difference in Quake depending on what mouse you use. So I do recommend maybe giving him a look and just seeing what kind of mouse might be suitable for you. If you have a kind of a really, really outdated mouse, like someone I know.
Yeah, I've been using the same mouse since the Quake 3 days. I'm still on the Razer Death Adder. And this is they've probably come out with a couple of different iterations of that, but the highest DPI that mine that goes up to is 3500, and it's probably about time where I start considering other mice, especially if I'm trying to get over whatever hump I'm in.
True.
So yeah,
True.
One thing that I did notice that specifically to Rocket Jump Ninja is his settings. They are bonkers. I don't know if you've ever seen what his settings were. He's actually revealed them, but he actually plays inverted. Did you know that?
Yeah, I didn't know that, but if you start out that way, I guess that's something you can do. If I try to do that now, I would never ever get used to it. I guess I could see maybe it being a little bit quicker on the rocket jump if you're trying to push forward on the mouse to go down and you wanted to get a quick rocket jump. So maybe I can see how that works out for him, but I'm never going to invert my mouse.
Yeah, that would be even worse than me changing from spacebar to right click to actually jump inside the game. I'm trying to think of any other specific YouTube channels or videos out there.
There are. Mentioned. Yeah, I know we want to mention too, but there's plenty more out there. I know those are just two of the biggest that we see repeatedly that release a lot of content. But just go to YouTube and just Google Quake Champions and use it as a resource. It's there. I mean, I know a lot of people think it should be built in the game, but I know they're still working on it. But just use it.
Yeah, just use it, and even go back to older Quakes too, because all of that is still relevant. Especially the movement. That's something that is very difficult to grasp at first, but we started off playing, strafe jumping in earlier versions of Quake, and the basic mechanics of that have not changed over the years. And if you have access to Quake 3 or Quake Live or something like that, that's another environment that you can safely experiment in that should translate over to Quake Champions.
And that leads into another good resource is Discord channels. I think almost everybody that plays video games these days is probably using Discord. If you're not, I do recommend it because there's plenty of different Discord channels specifically for Quake, including ours. So if you want to jump into our Discord, ask questions or anything like that, feel free to. But like I said, there's plenty of other ones. There's plenty of other ones out there too, and most people I know will help you out. They will take time to help.
Yeah, find a link to our Discord channel. It should be somewhere around wherever you're listening to this podcast. But if you can't find it, send us an email, stateofquake@gmail.com, and we'll get you hooked up and invited to our channel, and would be more than happy to help you with whatever you need, if you just want to play some matches together.
You can email us, and also we do have a Twitter page as well. So if you're on Twitter, just look up State of Quake, you'll find us. I think we do have a link in the Discord there as well. And if I'm not mistaken, I think you're on a Facebook group for Quake Champions.
Yeah, so there's a closed Facebook group that I think has a few thousand people in it across Europe and North America, and I see a lot of activity there. So that's a great resource.
Yeah, and as you can see, there's a lot of resources out there to help new players. Let's just continue to help these new players out. So if you are a veteran listening to this, please, if you do see a new player, try to encourage him, try to show him some tips, which actually is into our next topic, quick tips. Probably the biggest one I can say, don't play a couple hours and then just quit the game. Because if you do that, you're not going to ever get good. And I know it's frustrating to come into a game and just get killed and killed and killed, because the game does have a very high skill ceiling. But this game's also one of the games that you're going to probably feel the most rewarded once you start getting into that skill, and you're able to start killing more people and not dying as much.
Yep, I echo that 100%. We've got thousands of hours into all of the Quake series, and even when we came over to Quake Champions specifically, like, it took a while to get to the caliber player that we're at right now, and we're still not at the top. Like, there's plenty of better players out there, but I can say that I'm at a place where I can jump into a casual game and have a great time, or if I want to be, get deeper and be more methodical with my plays, and jump into duels, like, that's something that I can do. And yeah, I'm looking forward to a lot of the game modes that are out there that are up and coming.
Good ways to start is TDM versus bots, where when you first start out, you can play just purely bots, and the bots will go at your skill level, because there's like a hidden ELO level for everyone. So once you start out, you'll play against these easy bots to kind of get familiar with the movements, get familiar with the maps, get familiar with the weapons and how they work. So I do recommend starting out with that mode before I do anything else, and just try to familiarize yourself with the game first.
Yeah, even to this day, whenever I want to warm up, I just jump into a TDM versus bots mode, because it's easy to queue up. You get queued up instantly with other players who are also trying to warm up or boost their skill level. I think it's really interesting what the latest patches have done, especially for new players. They don't let them just jump into the modes at the very start. You basically have to earn your rank up to a certain number before you're actually able to play other modes. So before you can even jump into a normal deathmatch, I think you have to be a level 3.
Yeah, I did notice that in the PTS patch, and I did know a few people in the forum, especially the veterans. They were kind of giving that some flack. But you got to understand, people, this is set up for newer players to get them to come in and to try to learn the game at their pace. Because overall, you got to think the new players is going to be the foundation of this game in the future. So the more new players we have coming in, the better.
Yep, I cannot agree any more than that. So yeah, like, continuing on, like, the onboarding experience, if you will. I believe before you can get into other game modes, like, they don't even let you duel anymore until you're rank 10. And even when you're doing your placement matches for 2v2 and duel, like, they're still calculating your accurate player rating behind the scenes before it's revealed to you.
That's correct. And another thing with duel, since we're talking about new people, I just want to add this in real quick. Play the meta champions, and what I mean by meta champions, people will probably people will give you flack for this, but for instance, when I'm playing like a ranked match or a tournament that's actually counts for something, I'm usually playing Ranger, BJ, and Death Knight, because all those champs can do a lot of damage with their abilities. So, in my opinion, as a new player, you need every advantage you can get. And I'm not saying don't explore the other champs. By all means, do that. Whatever feels great to you. But I think that's a really good tip for some people versus just picking random champs and hoping for the best.
Yeah, I have a difference of opinion when it comes to that, but it all depends on the game mode that you're playing. That's for sure. Um, I I'm more in the camp of focus on your movement and your mechanics, and less on relying on a special ability because that's only a once in a while thing. So I would actually recommend, even though Ranger has his orb, and that's like an instant kill if you can throw it at the player right and teleport to it at the right time. Um, it's it's a great player to focus on like the core of the game before you start getting into some of the more complicated things,
Oh,
like slash movement, Sorlag movement, all of that stuff.
I totally agree. I was just saying this was a tip for people who were first starting out with Duel, and obviously Duel goes far beyond champion selection. There's way more mechanics to it, and we will do another whole podcast more than likely about Duel.
Hmm.
Um, so definitely, if you're a new player and you want to play Duel, by all means, pick whatever champs you want. I would just probably recommend myself try to pick some of the higher damage champs and try to give yourself a little bit of advantage. But like Unkind said, make sure you got the game mechanics down first before you even attempt Duel. Just do that.
Yeah, and one way to ensure that you're not just jumping into ranked duel is and getting your ass handed to you is finding someone at your skill level to practice with. So, if you find somebody in deathmatch that you had a good round or a good experience with, message them after the match or during the match and say, hey, would you like to practice with me sometime? Join my squad and we could play together. And hook up with them in Discord, talk to them via voice because it's a lot easier than trying to type. But finding someone at your skill level that you can basically practice or scrimmage with.
I totally agree with that because I know that some people have different opinions on how they learn. Some people say they learn by just getting stomped into the ground, which, hey, if that's your way of doing, that's fine. Because eventually you will need to play higher ranked people, especially for duel or 2v2 to get to the next level. But starting out, yeah, definitely find somebody on your level that pushes you enough to where you're still maybe taking rounds off each other, you're taking kills off each other, because you can learn so much more by having someone just push you to that limit versus someone's just going to come around a corner and kill you instantly and there's nothing you can do about it. That runs into the next topic as far as the tips go is run around the maps by yourself. If you do have a champ pack, you can create a custom game. Just run around and explore the maps. See where like the mega spawns, where the heavy spawns, where your major weapons spawn, where your health bubbles are. I mean, because I'm telling you, your map knowledge is probably, I would say, almost 50% or more than what makes a good Quake player. Because if you know where everything's at.
Yep. If you know where the weapons that you tend to use most are, where all the power ups spawn, like Slip mentioned, the mega health and the heavy armor. Like you want it depending on which game mode you're playing, that's what you want to focus on regardless. It are those major key items. And if you don't know where everything is, then you're at a disadvantage. So like back in the Quake 3 days, and even before that, like I would spend hours alone just running routes around the map and finding the most optimal way to get to a particular area of the map. I still do it to this day. Like whenever there's a new map on the public test server, or if I haven't had a chance to check it out during a live build, I will run around the map and make sure that like I have a mental picture of where everything is.
Yep, I totally do the same thing. So, folks, probably before you even jump into a match to even start getting ranks, like I said, if you do have the champ pack to create a custom game, do that first. If you don't, if you're the free to play player, just try to do as much as you can while you're playing the rounds. Don't just go for a fight. Maybe take another route and just explore the map a little bit while you're playing. I mean, like I said, anything to give you the advantage is what you need to do.
So do you have any other, it's like basic quick tips for a new player or maybe even a veteran player that, you know, that might be helpful?
The overall tip that I can give you is practice, practice, practice. I mean, you got to put the time in. The Quake is a game you got to put the time into to get rewarded. It's not going to be a game you're going to jump into and just be great off the bat. And as much as I like for it to be like that, it's not. But I'm telling you, you're going to feel so happy and so rewarded once you get to that level that you're able to compete and you're not at the bottom anymore. I'm telling you, you're going to really enjoy it.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. So as much as we have played as players, like I've experienced this time and time again where like I feel like I'm not getting any better. Like there's this wall in front of me, and a new player is going to experience this time and time again. Even pro players experience something, a hump or a wall or a block or a plateau. So I guess the next stuff that we would like to discuss are ways to get over that hump or that wall. Do you have any suggestions off the top of your head?
Probably the best thing to do if you're able to do it, like if your hard drive's big enough, is to record your sessions, record, and go back and watch yourself, and kind of analyze what you're doing. Like if maybe you should have switched this weapon in the fight, or maybe you should have took this route versus that route. Maybe you should have backed off from a fight and healed yourself. Anything like that, and make a mental note. That way, next time you're in that situation, you know what to do. I mean, even pro players do this for years now that play Quake. They record themselves, they analyze it, and they just go over every mistake that they've made and make sure they try to cut down on that mistake.
And gone are the days where we could hop into a server with someone and say, "Hey, spectate me," easily. But you can still. That's also a way to do it. Is your friend that you scrimmage with. You could start a custom match, keep them as spectator, and you could essentially create a custom match, run around the map, say, "Hey, what am I doing wrong with my movement?" Like to correct, to correct myself, or in this situation, we've actually to take a step back, we often group up with several players and take turns dueling each other, and that's also a great way to get like feedback, so they can see the things that you don't see and get real time feedback. Say, that time that you rushed me when I was going for Mega, and you only had the machine gun, you had no business doing that. Like situations like that.
Yeah, I totally agree. And another thing you can do, which pro players do this as well, is play people that are slightly better than you. I'm not saying if you're a gold, go out and fight somebody that's in the elite section, in which, I mean, you can, by all means. If that's how you want to do it, by all means, do it. But play somebody that, let's just say, for example, you play 5 sets on a map on 5 different maps, and he's beating you 3 out of the 2, or 4 out of the, or like 3-2, or maybe 4-1. Obviously, that person's a bit better than you, so have them, maybe mentor you and say, hey, try this or do this, and then eventually you'll get to that level to where you're taking rounds or after rounds off that person and possibly getting better. And then that's when you repeat the process over again. Find someone else that's a little bit better than you and do the same thing.
Yeah, there's someone I'm gonna give a shout out to, Fozzie. I could say that he came from not playing Quake. He actually played a completely different game, but prior to coming to Quake, and he started out like basically at the bottom. And I noticed over the course of time, he came to our Discord. We played quite a bit together, dueling each other, and eventually he stopped playing with us, and I could see what he was doing. He started playing with people who were better than us, and as a result, he is now at he's much higher level than we are. So he's grown exponentially by dueling better players. So I'm sad to say that like we we don't get as many opportunities to duel with Fozzie anymore, but he's all about that rank and keeping it, as high as it can go. So congrats to Fozzie and shout out to him.
Oh yeah, definitely. Congratulations. It definitely goes back to what I said before. You got to put the time in. The more time you put in, the better you're going to be. So, I mean, no matter where you start out at, just keep trying. Just keep pushing yourself. I know it can get frustrating sometimes because I still get frustrated, and I've played this game for a long time. But just try to make some friends out there, and keep practicing with each other. And in the end, you'll see what happens.
Yeah, and if you are a vet listening to this, like if you're doing, if you're dueling and you end up dueling somebody who's unranked and you can tell that they're doing their placement matches, or if you're, just playing public games and you could see that there's a new player, like take them under your wing, be courteous to them. Don't go all out on them. Offer tips. I always say, add me, if you want to, add me to your friends list if you want to learn and practice against me, because I've benefited from that in the past, and I know if you basically pay it forward, it pays dividends for the stability,
stability and community, and also new people, noobs, however we want to describe the new people coming in. Be receptive. As far as what I mean is, try to take everything a veteran player to heart. As far as, don't just ignore it, throw it off, and say, I'm going to do my own thing. I'm not going to listen to what you say. I'm not going to practice what you tell me to practice. I'm just going to do everything on my own. Don't do that. I understand that there are people out there that they want to learn their own way, do their own thing, and that's fine. But if a vet's telling you, hey, this is what you're doing wrong, analyze yourself and tell yourself, hey, let's try it this way. And if it works, do it. Don't just shut down and say, okay, I'm not going to do what you say. Because a lot of these vets out here, they're just here to help you. They're not trying to dog you down or whatever. They're just, they're just trying to give you tips to help you be a better player.
I can't agree with that anymore. Do you think that we've covered, I guess, our overview of our, new players toolkit, or do you have anything else to add?
I'm looking it over, and I think we covered everything. Just to recap, like we talked about the free to play people. We talked about the Champions Pack. We talked about the mindset, that this is an early access game, so go into it with that mindset. The in-game onboarding, the tutorials. We talked about settings and keybinds. Then we talked about resources that are available to you, quick tips, maybe getting over the hump, and then, like we said, lastly, vets help out new people, and new people listen to your vets.
Yeah, that about covers it. The only thing that I think we forgot to mention as part of the resources was Twitch. We might have skipped over that one. So Twitch is also an amazing, amazing resource. So like, you can analyze and see how other players are playing at a variety of skill levels. So I know we mentioned during the last podcast some of the Twitch channels to follow, but let's just reiterate, some of the few that we want to highlight. So I guess from the pro standpoint, I would say Rafa, Dahang. Who else you want to add?
I'd say Effortless. I mean, he's in the elite now, so I'd definitely throw him out there.
Yep. And then there's some entertaining players that are also really good, like Death, D with DETH. I am 40 Lions. He's a great player who's also really entertaining.
Yes, that man's very funny. So I'm sure maybe a lot of you people are listening already subscribed to his channel, but if you haven't, definitely go check him out. A girl named Maggie, she's constantly playing, so usually she's streaming almost every day or maybe every other day. To give her a watch, she's very involved in the community, and we really thank her for doing all the things she does, setting up LAN parties, things like that.
I mean, there's so many. Yeah, there's so many.
There's a lot of people out there that you just got to take a look at, and I think that leads me back to the thank you to you guys out there listening to this podcast. We just wanted to do something that we thought was fun. We both enjoy doing it. And we're very glad episode 1 was a success to us. Like I said, we're very humble about it, and we're hoping that this second episode is just as good and you guys enjoy it.
Yeah, we cannot thank you enough. One thing that I want to mention is as we are growing this podcast and learning and everything, the best way that you can show your support is by subscribing to whatever channel that you had. It not only does it let us know that you want to hear us every week or two, whatever frequency we decide to release these at. If you comment, follow, subscribe, however you do that, wherever you're listening to us from, please do that. Not only will you show your support for us, but that's the easiest way to get notified when there's a brand new podcast. Right now, we're sort of doing this manually, posting it to all of the channels, but that's what podcast RSS feeds are for. If you subscribe to them, you'll automatically be notified when there's a brand new episode of the State of Quake.
Not to mention, did you already plug our Twitch channel as far as Between the Slipgates?
Yeah, I mentioned that. So right now, it's a little bit bare in the actual channel with the videos. If you guys are interested in playing with us when we start the Between the Slipgates series, make sure that you go to Twitch. Our Twitch channel is just State of Quake, all one word, and we'll be sure to if you're subscribed, you'll know when we actually go live with the series. And if you're interested in actually playing with us, you can join our Discord, and we're happy to coordinate, playing some matches. And if you've got any feedback, any ideas for topics, any of that stuff, just let us know. With whatever channel you're participating in, we're watching. So we're more than receptive to your ideas as we're trying to grow this. But I think that's all we've got for this episode. So,
and I hope we did a better job this time. I know some people, said we could use a little tweaks here and there, and we're learning every episode. I think this episode went very smoothly, and like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed this one as well.
Yeah, I can't agree more. So with that, we'll see you in the arena, folks.
And you keep on fragging. GG's.
GG's.